Hey everyone, so in this video we're going to talk about the two mistakes that I think people make a lot when they're drawing. And I do believe that if you just fix these two things, then it's going to be a really easy work for you to make your drawings at least 80% better, maybe even more. And you can sort of learn how to bypass even learning about anatomy that it's important, but you can still kind of bypass learning it if you're just fixing these two things. So the first thing I would say, I talk about it on my channel a lot, and that is the fact that you cannot outwork a bad sketch. Like there's no way. It's like parallel to like working out for 3 hours and then going home to eat like shit. You're not going to see the results. Well, actually you're going to see the results, but they're just not going to be the results that you like. But yeah, outworking a bad sketch is just as impossible. I always recommend that, like, if you cannot spare too much time on your drawing every day, then if you have, like, let's say you have 3 hours, then I would recommend that you're just focusing on making sure your proportions are correct in those 2 hours, in the first 2 hours, because it's the foundation. It's like, it doesn't matter if you're able to paint great hair or draw beautiful eyes if the proportions are all wrong and if the eyes are placed a little bit too away from each other. And it's kind of funny because I used to make that mistake a lot. Like, I didn't think about proportions enough, and I used to think that I would fix it in the third hour. Like, I would fix it later on. First of all, your paper can only take up so much beating. It's going to get damaged after a while, especially like the tooth of the paper. If you've noticed, the paper that you're drawing on, there are different variations of the kind of paper that you can buy, but there's always a smooth grain on it that helps you hold the graphite and the charcoal that you're using to draw with. And after a while, if you like spend time just like using a 6B, 10B, 8B, whatever, the grain can only hold up so much. And if you're just erasing it and then you're constantly making changes to it, it's going to get damaged. And after a certain point, you will not be able to work around it. It's just how it works. But it's really different in like oil painting, because people use alla prima. It's a veteran technique. You can just work around it like 100 times. Well, technically, if you're doing it 100 times, you're doing it wrong, but you can still work around it because it's a veteran technique. With graphite or charcoal, you need to be much more careful. And it is a big mistake, as you could be so much more efficient with your workflow if you can just fix this one thing. Like, I used to make portraits in like half the time when I fixed this one mistake. And also, it's a waste of time if you're looking for proportions even when you're like 3 hours in. Like, you want to get that out of the way, even if it is like taking you around 2 hours to make sure the proportions are correct, then just take the 2 hours. It doesn't matter. It's not a race. As long as you're getting the foundation right, you're golden. But like, if you fucked it, then you're just setting yourself up for failure. It doesn't matter if you're the greatest judge of values. It doesn't matter. You're just like building upon a foundation which is wobbly. So the second thing that I want you to understand is you need to get familiar with the idea of painting or drawing what you see and not what you think you see. And I'll be honest, when I read it the first time, that statement went right over my head. I'm like, what do you even mean? Like, drawing what you see and not what you think you see? But then it dawned upon me and I was like, oh, I understand what you mean. And there's a statement that I mentioned in my last video, and that's like drawing with your brain. And like, drawing is basically your brain activity. The skill is not in your hands. That is basically in here. Like, when you see artists like drawing and painting with their foot, then you understand, like, it's not a motor activity skill. It's not challenging. Like, the shoulder movements are not challenging and the hand movements are not challenging. It's the processing in your brain that is challenging, and the way you perceive reality and how you kind of make your own variation of it when you're drawing or painting. So yeah, painting what you see and not what you think you see. What does that mean? Every one of us has a visual library in our own brain. Like, we've seen so many faces at this point. Like, if you're 25, I don't know how many faces you must have seen, and you have a basic understanding of how things look like. So if you see an eye, even if you close your eyes, you can almost always imagine how an eye looks like. It's pupil, eyelashes, and eyebrow and all that. But you don't want that visual library to kick in when you're drawing, because if you're letting that visual library to kick in and you're letting it pull strings, then you're not really observing things. And observation is the main thing I'd say that helps you improve. Like if you're observing things and you're seeing the kind of changes that the reference is demanding you to make in your drawing, then you're not going to fail. Like a lot of people are just seeing things and not observing things, and there's a lot of difference between those two. And but by seeing things, you can just be like, you can let your mind wander off towards some thoughts that are not constructive to your drawing. Like you could be thinking about anything. You could be thinking about something that happened the other day, or you could be listening to music, something that distracts you. And observing, on the other hand, is really submitting to whatever you're seeing in front of you. If you're observing, you really are noticing the changes in the tones. If you're observing, you're going to see how that form is shifting towards the source of the light. If you're observing things, you are seeing the minute changes that the face is making at particular regions, if that makes sense. And if you're observing things, you're really submitting, and you're really kind of going in towards adding the details that really make the most difference in your drawing. And it's not to say that you need to focus too much on the details, as details are not what makes the drawing look realistic. It's not in the details. A lot of people even squint their eyes to see the average value shapes, and trust me, that shape arrangement and that just the collection of different shapes that you see, the shapes having different values and how they kind of tie in together, that is what makes the person in the drawing look like the person that you're seeing in the reference. And if you could just submit to the drawing, if you're like present and you're observant, you're not really listening to music, like that's really a problem with a lot of people. Like they think that it's some sort of a thing that you would just stumble upon. Like you cannot stumble upon a great drawing by just being half present. You need to be dialed in, you need to be locked in, and you need to make sure that your presence is there. You cannot just be like doop-de-doop-de-doo or making a drawing and then voila, like 3 hours later you have something beautiful. You need to submit, you need to make sure that you're giving it your all, and that's the way to improve your drawing. I hope this helped you out anyways, and I will see you next week.